All right, and we're back on the podcast. Billy, where are we?
We're on the Rejected Stone podcast.
And I am Jay Brown.
Billy the Bill.
And Carter,
That guy.
we are back.
Yes.
And hopefully this time we will keep all of the sound.
Can everybody see me?
We'll keep all of
we
the
there?
sound
Are we
and all
there?
the picture. And you can
Hopefully.
see us and hear us.
I am not going to touch the mute button, I promise. That was all my fault. I don't know how to work any of this stuff, so you just have to bear with me. But we've got to be real quick because we had some other stuff we had to figure out, so it's going to be very, very short.
More technical issues.
So Carter's going to talk to us a little bit about what it means to follow and what the disciples themselves actually went through and on their sort of little path.
Yes. So first I'm going to briefly talk about what we talked about in the last lesson, which we did already talk about, and then, it got deleted. Anyway, yes. So in the last lesson, we talked about the disciples and how each of them were called to follow Jesus and how he called them. So I'm going to briefly read over the first 7 again, because that's the 7 that are directly mentioned in the Bible. So that's going to start with Peter, Andrew, James, and John. So this is in Matthew 3, verse 19. And he saith unto them, so he came across 2 brothers, Simon and Peter, and Andrew his brother. And then in verse 19 it starts, and he saith unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their nets. So straightway, they dropped everything, they left everything, they followed him.
He quit his job.
They quit their jobs. They didn't ask any questions. They weren't like, well, do I need to do this to be able to follow you? Do I need to go talk to my family? Nope. Dropped everything.
And with that, like the fishing and everything, like that's how they made their money. That's how they made their living.
That was their
like,
livelihood.
Their stuff.
So that's basically them saying, well, I gotta follow him. I can't support my family anymore. That's the dedication that it took, and that instantly they dropped everything. And then it jumps into the next 2 disciples in verse 21. And going on from thence, he saw other 2 brethren, James the son of Zebedee and John his brother,
sons of thunder.
Yes. And they were in a ship with Zebedee their father, mending their nets. And then Jesus called them, and immediately they left the ship and their father and followed him. They didn't ask for permission. They didn't say, hey, do you think this is a good idea? They instantly knew who he was by what he said, and they followed him.
Nice.
Alrighty, and so that's the first 4. And then let me skip over to when Matthew or Levi was called. That's what we talked about last week.
Yeah, because he has 2 names, Levi.
Yes. That was his. I guess that's what we came across was that's what was his original name was, or his family name.
We did look it up and then like Google. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, did say that he's more than likely also from the tribe of Levi.
Yes.
But
who knows?
I don't know. I'll ask Brother Dwayne on Sunday.
There we go. He's definitely our fact check. Let's see here. Now we're in.
That's it. We're gonna call Brother Dwayne the fact checker. The fact checker.
All right. This is in Matthew 9, verse 9. And as Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of custom. So Matthew was a tax collector, and he saith unto him, follow me. And he arose and followed him. Just same as the other 4, that he dropped his job, dropped his livelihood, and he was known to be a tax collector, which means people looked down on him. They did not agree with what he did. So on one hand, he was probably like,
he was Jewish and he was working for like the Romans, and it's like they didn't like him.
On one hand, he was probably like, I can quit this job.
Like he quits his job.
Finally, my own people will stop looking at me like I'm insane and evil.
I can retire.
So in the back of his mind, you got to think he might have thought that. And he was known to be the scribe and the one who wrote down everything that Jesus did and stuff like that. And so in continuing on,
he was pretty good at just writing down the facts, because how much did you bring in? Okay, you still owe this. He's good at taking notes.
You got that right, because I mean, he as part of his job, he had to be on top of it. Otherwise, the Romans would get him. So let's see. Let's continue. And then when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, why eateth your master with publicans and sinners? So instantly, the Pharisees were like, why is your master, the man who you follow, eating with sinners? If he claims to be the man that he claims to be, why is he with sinners?
Why is he doing all that?
So instantly they try to call him out, and they try to be like, well, why are you following this man? This man is doing things he shouldn't be doing. As if, associating with sinners isn't something we're called to do now. We're called to be those people who go out there and go into the world to be with the sinners and reach out to them and try to get them here. Try to get them to Jesus. Try to extend that helping hand. Try to help plant that seed.
Yes.
Right. All right, let's see here. And then I believe the other recording of the other 2 that we're going to read is in the book of John.
what's his name in Nathaniel?
Yes.
Felipe.
Felipe.
Philip and Nathaniel.
Philip and Nathaniel. Let's see here. If I can get to it. All right, here we go. This is going to be in John chapter 1.
John.
Let's see, verse 43. And the day following, Jesus would go forth into Galilee, and findeth Philip, and saith unto him, Follow me. Now Philip was of Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. So Philip was of the same hometown, or the same town of Andrew and Peter. And Philip went out, and he found Nathanael, and said unto him, We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph.
The Messiah.
So Philip was like, "Oh, this is the guy," and he instantly went and found Nathanael and was like, "Yo, you got to come follow him too."
See, which is another thing like we're supposed to do in our walk with Christ. Like once we accept and we find Billy, we lost you.
Oh, Billy!
No!
It says reconnecting.
Poor Billy.
Oh no.
Billy will return in just a moment.
Yes. Anyway, and
But
yes,
in our own lives, like as soon as we find Christ, we're supposed to immediately go out and
Exactly.
tell people, and that's
immediately
exactly
got
what
him to
Philip did.
people. I like how he included that in the book of John. That as soon as Jesus called him, he went out and found Nathanael.
Yeah.
And then in the next few verses, let's see here. Let me read over those really quickly.
Go back to the link again and see if it'll let you come
Yeah,
back
see if
in
it'll
that
let.
way.
Oh, I think it's letting him in. Wait, did I drop too?
No, you're still there.
Anyway, verse 47, Jesus saw Nathanael coming to him and saith unto him, Behold, an Israelite indeed. So immediately he knew who Nathanael was.
Yeah.
And he said, An Israelite indeed, with whom is no guile. So it's someone who has no deceit in him. Nathanael's not a deceitful person.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 48, Nathanael saith unto him, Whence knowest thou me? Jesus answered and said unto him, Before that Philip called thee, when thou wast under the fig tree, I knew thee. Did it throw me out too?
There you go. You went out too. It's just me today. Hi, how are you?
Wait. It's gonna. It's my fault. It's me.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Okay, I'm back. So
Where are you, Billy?
I'm just here.
But
Let's
y'all
see
can
here.
still hear him. I
Yeah.
hope so.
let's see here.
I'll be here in
Have
spirit.
you gone back to the link?
Yes.
It hadn't done it either.
So Nathaniel was
Close it
like-
out and come back. Keep reading.
Yeah. So Nathaniel was like, how did you know me? How did you know me? You've never seen me before. And Jesus was pretty much like, before Philip came to get you, I knew who you were.
Yeah.
Just as, in several other parts of the Bible, it makes it apparent that that God knew us before we were born because he's the one that formed us. So I love that little touch right there from Nathaniel's
And
Nathaniel's encounter
that's
with
in
Jesus.
Jeremiah 1:5 when he's talking to Jeremiah the prophet. When he said that I knew you before I formed you in the womb.
Yes.
I knew you. And I heard a thing today with that in it, which was just really powerful. That it's, and I won't go into it because we don't have time. That's for the next segment. We'll talk about that in Jeremiah 1 chapter 5, where he talks about that, to where it's not just a confirmation thing. It's more of a calling to us. And I'm hoping we can talk about that some a little later. Anything,
Yes.
Billy? Are you getting anything yet?
I don't know. I'm here in spirit.
Yeah, because that's all we hear. We just hear you.
Well,
But so that's what we wanted to go over that recap like we did last week, and then that didn't get posted. Sorry. But anyway, we went over that again, and then what we talked about next was we really just recapped that, and then we went into what it really means to follow Jesus and what we can do to follow Jesus, and other parts in the Bible that talk about following Jesus and him inviting people to follow him or to pick up their bed to follow and to pick up their bed and go, and any other thing that he said where it was like a command to get up and go, just as such as Lazarus, he said, "Come forth," and he came out of the grave. And then in the end of Matthew,
Jesus don't waste no time.
no, we
man.
don't.
I'm telling
Boom,
you.
immediately.
Telling you.
Immediately. And then in the
All together now.
in the end of Matthew, he gives the great
It's like, I'm sorry. It's like we're in there clapping to the worship. Nobody can get on time.
we're off.
That is
By
so
the way,
true.
ask Connie.
Every time. I'm sorry, but every time there's like 2 or 3 people in the congregation that is completely offbeat. And it's hard not to laugh. It just is.
We're gonna have lessons.
We're gonna have lots of
But
lessons.
oh, what was I saying?
I'm ready.
My brain.
I'm ready.
But yes, we talked about what it means to join Jesus and follow him. What?
Looky here. I'm in here twice now. Look here.
We're seeing double.
I don't know how to turn the other volume off.
That's the ...
The ...
and then click mute speaker.
Mute a speaker.
There we go.
All right. Y'all are going to get sick real quick. Hold on.
Billy's back.
Billy!
Maybe I won't vanish.
But yes, we then talked about what it really means to follow Jesus and how what it means to. I believe we also read the verse. I don't know it off the top of my head of pick up your cross and follow me.
Yeah,
that was
right.
one of our center points that we talked about last week. Actually,
Right.
was the fact that Jesus, one of his commands was, if you want to follow him and if you want to be with him in heaven, we need to pick up our cross and follow him. We need to deny ourselves, sacrifice ourselves and all that we love and all that we enjoy, so that we can accept him for all that he is and that we can be with him.
Just like the lady at the well.
Yes.
Take up your cross and follow me. Matthew 16:24.
Matthew 16:24.
It's also spoken Luke 9:23, requiring the believers to deny self-desires, surrendering their lives, and embrace surrendering and sacrificing his sake.
Yes, and so that was our main point
Thanks,
last
Google.
week, really. Yes, thank you, our best friend Google, until it lies to us. So that was our main point last week. That's really what we centered on for a main portion, and then we talked about what was something that each of us could give up, or what was something that each of us could do to follow.
Right, like something that we can apply in our lives that sort of mirror what does it mean to actually follow? It doesn't mean. And we said this in first priority. It doesn't mean just walk around back behind him and follow wherever he goes and does
people
stuff
did
like that.
People did that back then.
Yes,
they followed him everywhere he went, like they were little puppy dogs.
That's it, and that's not what he means by that. It's like follow my example. Get into the scripture, learn the scriptures, have a relationship, and then follow my example of not just sharing, but also having that forgiveness for people.
Yes.
Like when he says on the cross, forgive them for they know not what they do. Like somebody's hurting you in your life and it's hard
That's
to
hard
just
to do in this world.
let go. But there's all kinds of different examples that Jesus gave throughout his entire life that we're supposed to mimic.
Yes.
That we're supposed to follow. And I think like the term follow me in scripture might be translated a little differently because it's like follow me. But so what did follow me mean as an Israelite? Like in the Jewish standard, like if I said follow me, is that he's a rabbi.
Yeah.
So he's he's like follow my teachings. Follow not just walk around back behind me. Like all right, everybody form a line.
And so that makes me think, like pretty much what you were saying is follow me is like mirror what I'm doing, mirror how I live my life. And that's what we're really called to be, is to be that mirror, so that when people look at us, they don't see us, they see Jesus shining through us.
Exactly.
Follow me doesn't mean, like we said, to physically follow.
Billy's
it means
camera
to be the
didn't
mirror.
work because we weren't supposed to see you, Billy. I'm sorry. We're
sorry,
supposed to
Billy.
see Jesus.
Jesus. You're supposed to see my light shining.
But yes, I don't know what that was, but it worked. But yes, we're really called the real calling when it says follow is to follow his teachings, follow his everything, follow his actions, not as in follow his very steps, but follow everything that he did in terms of forgiveness, in terms of being that hand to help you.
I'm glad because sometimes it's hard to follow back behind with somebody, especially if it's like one of my buddies, like if I'm following him to a job site or something like that, he's driving 90 to nothing. I couldn't follow him if I wanted to.
Can you follow a quarter?
Jesus is nice and slow. He
in this parking lot, no.
Parking lot. I've seen you come around this corner. We've got you on camera, Carter.
That's why we put up the speed bumps.
The Carter bumps.
But yes, so we're called
back to it.
Back to the message. But yes, we're called to be that mirror, to be that shining light, so that when people look at us, they see Jesus.
This little light of mine,
I'm gonna let it shine.
This little light. We gotta stop doing that.
I know.
We're 4 minutes over right now.
Well, so that's pretty much what we talked about last week, and I hate that it's a very short one this time, but
next week
we had those technical issues, and now we're just trying to
we have a lot of technical issues, but look at us.
Hopefully, we're gonna have it fixed for good, but we'll see.
Yes.
And thank y'all for listening again. And next week or this coming Sunday, hopefully we'll have everything lined out, ironed out, and we'll have a full lesson.
I'm gonna get here like an hour early just to get everything turned on to see if it works first.
But
We've had HDMI cables go out. We've had the mute button be turned on. Our cameras don't work.
Billy's got to get a new phone.
Billy's got to get a new phone. I got to get a new phone. Like it's just one thing after another, and that's the devil at play.
Yes.
Like we've come together, and we get so much out of our times that we get in here and we have Bible study with each other, and then that's why we started doing this podcast. Just because if we're getting so much out of it, we want others to experience that.
Yeah,
And just like we want us to be that shining light, whether it's on the radio, whether it's on a video, whether it's here in church, whether it's during anything, to where we're called to do that. We're called to do this type of stuff and to get out there and share the gospel of the Jesus Christ and just be there. So we're excited about this, and I think that's why we're having so many issues is because the devil's trying to hinder this ministry that we've got.
Yes.
But not today.
Not today. And yes, so again, we're sorry that it's a short one, and we're just trying to fit it in really quickly, but we do have a bit of a challenge for you.
Yes.
I want this coming week until the next lesson, just think about what is something that you could give up or something that you could specifically do to follow Jesus more.
Right.
Or follow him in a different way. Maybe you've just been following him in this specific way your whole life or your whole Christian life. Maybe you mix it up a little bit. Follow him in a different way.
Change it up.
Change it up. But always have him be the center and have him keep your eye on the ball.
Like for
the
me,
ball being Jesus.
Like for me, it was the prayer thing. Like just having more individual prayer times. Instead of just having one, there's multiple little things that I can do in the day that I just say a prayer. And I get in more into that rhythm of having that talking relationship with Jesus. And I think, Billy, you had some other little stuff, some ideas, and Carter had.
Do you remember what yours was, Billy?
Do you remember what that was?
Off your top of your head?
Talking about?
Listening to
praise and worship music.
Praise
That's
and
what
worship
you were
music.
talking about. Yeah, because you was getting more into that. And that's one way to do it. If you're take out the alternative music, the secular music, and swap it out. I know, I like country music.
Yeah.
We're not saying you have to delete it.
Just go for an entire week of nothing but Christian music.
Yes.
And just get into that sense of worship. It does tell us to worship or without ceasing, pray without ceasing.
Pray without ceasing,
it's the same
thank
thing.
And everything.
Worship without ceasing.
Yes.
Just put it in your daily thing.
Do like Carter does when he pulled up this afternoon. Wind is down, blaring, he arose.
Heroes. But yes, so Josh's was the prayer, Billy's was listening to Christian music and gospel music, and I believe, if I remember correctly, mine was just the podcast in general and the Bible study in general, and the fact that it helps build me up and keep me centered on learning more about Jesus, learning more about the Bible, and coming together to be the iron that sharpens iron.
Yeah. Iron sharpening iron.
Amen.
That's what it's about. And if we can help you sharpen a little bit, we'll do it.
We're doing our message.
We're doing the best. We're doing our best.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for us. For now, we're gonna get back to it next week. We're gonna have another episode. We've got a couple of other things lined up that we're gonna talk about.
And our theme will be not alone, or what was the?
It's not alone. Godly friendship.
Godly friendship. So we're going to talk about not being alone and God being there for us.
All right. And I am Jay Brown.
Billy the Bill.
Carter.
That guy. Y'all be blessed.
Amen.